People think retirement means endless money, but for me, it meant something totally different. And no, I didn't win the lotto or find a get rich quick scheme. If you ever felt burnt out, stuck in a job you didn't love, or just dreamt of stepping away, this video is for you. Hey, I'm Ben, and welcome to Le Benjamin. Today, I'm sharing two big lessons I've learned about stepping away again. And stick around because at the end, I'll share my biggest takeaway from being retired at 25 and now 36. Spoiler alert, the corporate ladder, the 9 to 5 dream job, the over 50-hour work week is complete bullshit. As a friend keeps reminding me, we are supposed to work to live and not live to work. The first thing I learned is all about the financial aspect. Before my first retirement at 25, I was young, beautiful, and boy was I dumb. I chased after the position and the title. I worked my ass off and put in way too many hours to the point where I was sick to my stomach and getting gray hairs in my mid 20s. But I decided I needed a way out. There was no way I could keep up in the long run. At 25, I was making great money, but I was also spending it like a kid in a candy store with no supervision. This kid was making adult money while living paycheck to paycheck. So I finally decided to start paying attention to my finances and my spending. I started making a goal for how much I wanted to save and created an exit strategy. I shifted my hard work ethic towards this goal. And what now seems like the blink of an eye, I said goodbye to my 7-year career. Living off of savings and later a nice tax return, I was able to spend over 1 year on my first mid career retirement. This next month will be 11 years since. As of this video, I am still on my second retirement phase at 36, and it's been about 4 months. After my first retirement, I decided to fight for the 9 to 5. After realizing the corporate ladder or working endless hours are not the answer, I was certain 9 to 5 was. In fact, I was so certain that I tried this for two completely different careers back to back over the next 9 years. And just like that, life recently reminded me that what we resist persists. Luckily, at this stage, I knew what I needed to do. So I focused on my finances again and decided to enter my second mid-career retirement. I recently came across a random podcast from James Wedmore featuring Jim Fortin. I say random because I've been listening to newer episodes, and out of over 700, my Spotify suddenly autoplayed episode 114 instead. And it blew my mind. Money doesn't come from effort, it comes from our relationship with it. Jim explains that if you grow up poor, you hear things like, money is hard to get. It doesn't grow on trees, or what, we can't afford that. And over time, we start believing these as truth. But what if money isn't about effort? What if it actually flows to conscious vibration? In other words, what if rewiring your belief around money could literally attract abundance? If this intrigues you, I highly recommend listening to the episode. Jim explains it better than I could ever. The question that's still rocking my world: what is your relationship with money? I challenge you to reflect on this for yourself. While retirement was easier to do when I was younger with less responsibilities, this time was different. This time there's a family. There are more bills, a car, a home, pets, and the never ending list of adulting. While there was so much more on my plate, there were even more people in my life cheering for me. That brings me to my second thing I learned from my retirement: spirituality. If I'm being honest, this one took me the longest to figure out. As someone that grew up in an extremely religious environment, this was one of those dark corners in my life that I wanted nothing to do with. In 2014, I gave myself 1 month of planning before I embarked on a new journey. My first stop was a fly to Spain and backpack across the country in 33 days on El Camino de Santiago. At this time, I didn't know why I was drawn to this journey. Looking back, I realized it was the start of something much bigger. El Camino, a pilgrimage that people have been doing forever. Of course, some people do this for religious aspects or spirituality or maybe even just health. I went on this journey with no clear intention. I just knew I wanted to do this. If you want to know more, I suggest watching the movie The Way that was released in 2010. This movie was a major catalyst for my first retirement. Looking back now, I can say without a doubt that El Camino de Santiago was the very beginning of my healing spiritual journey. It's been over a decade and I'm still learning, still growing, still healing. In my current retirement, I cannot express how thankful I am for the people around me. There are too many people to name here that have been such a great support. There's so much I shared here today that would not be possible without the pillars in my life. I wouldn't be having the conversation if it wasn't for the hours spent in deep conversations while sipping away some screwball peanut butter flavored whiskey. And of course, a shout out to my bartender that's always listens and asks genuine, thought provoking questions. The universe has given me the time I need to heal. My perspective has changed drastically over the past decades. I am thankful to be able to learn about grounding, about cacao, and so much more. Some of the books that are blowing my mind spiritually are The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle and Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And to the pillar in my life that introduced me to these, you know who you are. I just want to say thank you. And of course, thank you to all the pillars in my life. As promised, I wanted to share my biggest takeaway from being retired at 25 and 36. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a like. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to get more content like this. Before I get to the biggest takeaway, I want to give you a bonus lesson I learned. Not going to lie, I was hesitant to share this moment of vulnerability. A reality that I'm reminded of in this current retirement is that there is grief, sadness, and some might even call it depression that comes along with such major decisions. While I really enjoy telling people I am retired for a second time, there is a lot I've never said. We don't talk enough about the grief that comes with big life changes, even the good ones. When we show up for ourselves, when we take those big leaps, there is no other feeling in the world out there like it. My biggest piece of advice, if you find yourself in a situation like this, know that you are never alone. You already did the hard part. You told yourself you are priority number one. I encourage you to keep kicking ass. Go out there and be the best version you can be and reach out to those around you. It is okay to give yourself the space and the time to process and to heal from something that is no longer serving your greater purpose. And without further ado, my biggest takeaway from my retirement is gratitude. To this day, after over a decade, I look back at how grateful I am that I showed up for the one person that matters the most, myself. I do not regret my decisions. There was nothing easy about giving up financial security and something that I fought for 7 years and then for 9 years to reach. As someone that has skydived, I can tell you this is nothing like that. It might be more like feeling of jumping without a parachute. And yet, looking back, I realize I was never really falling. The universe always had my back. Just the other day, I heard somewhere that fear is courage becoming known. And boy, does that fit. While I am still living in the moment of my second retirement, I can genuinely say that gratitude is by far the biggest highlight. I am beyond excited to be able to look back on my current retirement one day with a gratitude filter. Now, go out there, be awesome, and buen camino.